My name's Adam Manaka and I'm the Financial Controller for hi-tec Oils. With our national capacity, we can now service Australian companies nationwide. Of late, we have now expanded into the New Zealand market. Here at hi-tec Oils, we receive premium base oils and premium additive packs. Together, with our highly trained staff, we manufacture over 500 premium quality products. hi-tec Oils is Australian made and Australian owned.
You're back at Mount Panorama. It's the hi-tec Oils Bathurst 6 Hour for 2017. About to resume with plenty of this race to go. Recovery done for the number 65 CXC Lancer. While we're under the safety car, we should mention that there's been pit stops. Morecambe and Morris both pitted under the caution, and that's elevated Garth Walden in the AMG Mercedes to the race lead. And look at this, down the inside, 3 wide, Chaz Mostert trying to get past these lap cars as they sort themselves out through turn 1, and gee, that looked hairy. Jim Policina, former leader, pitted, now 12th.
Sharon on the charge now.
15th. Watch them march up the order. Watch them fly up the order. Andrew Richmond is next target, the inside of the Camry. Bunch of cars pitting beneath us. So Beric Linton needs to pass Garth Walden here because he needs to clear. Wow, oh, hold your breath. 2 and 3 wide through the kink at turn 3. The run up into the cutting. Marcus Ambrose and Greg Murphy know that bit of road well. Just to add to the list of memories. So for this race to work for Beric Linton, he's got to pass Garth. He's got to get by the AMG. And yes, they've got a pit stop up their sleeve. And as we explained before, their race will come to them in the final hour because they've got that one stop to make and they can dictate when they put the co-driver in for the run to the flag. But if you're not on the lead lap, you're not going to win this motor race because there's so many cars on the lead lap. It's so difficult to get back on it.
At the moment, there is 16 cars currently on the lead lap, but that will change once they all cross the control line there, so it all cleanses itself.
Walden by 1.9 seconds. That white bonnet going through your shot now is the BMW that's second with Lee Burgess. Then it's James Abella in the Subaru. Carrera Cup game. Races for McElroy Racing. Won the Jim Richards Endurance Trophy in GT3 Cup Challenge a couple of years ago. Handy little talent from the west of Sydney. He and Cameron Hill have flown very much under the radar today. Haven't seen much of them, but they've continued to battle on. Benny Porter is 4th in the number 29 GWR car. Rod Salmon 5th. Kieran Pilkington 6th. Then Vernon, Rickshaw, Luke Sells back up to 9th place. We're watching him carve his way through the field. And then back to Chaz Mostert and Mark Eddy in the TTRS. In fact, Mostert has passed Luke Sell that time by. So Chaz will be up to 7th, you'd think, as they cross the line. Oh man, 3 wide.
Wow.
I say 3 wide like I'm surprised.
Yeah.
How many times have we seen that today?
Luke Searle had that thing dead set sideways off that ripple strip just then in Hancock Murray's corner.
So here's a look, replay down at Hancock turn. Chaz Mostert in front. We're watching Luke Searle dive down the inside of a lapped Commodore. That's the Walden entry. Yeah, just up on the exit curb there. Won't be too much of a drama unless they've caused some tyre damage with the back of that curb. We've seen here before that cars that use curbs a little bit too liberally can get caught on the back of them, and around pointing the wrong way is a BMW at the exit of turn 2, and after the dipper and probably Forest Elbow and possibly McPhillamy Park, that's not a great place to spin. And Grant Sherrin, you know it's Grant because Grant wears glasses, so G for Grant. He is watching on in pit lane, and they might get another safety car that will help their cause here. I wonder if that BMW can get itself turned around. So that teed off earlier. So there was contact there. BMW on BMW. That's the Stefan Mobile that got into the back of the 1M and caused it to be pointing in the opposite direction of travel.
Do you know, when you're travelling up there at speed, he's very lucky not to have taken the wall, or it looks like he may have just.
Keith Bensley was behind the wheel of that car, in fact, at the time.
Here goes Mostert on his rampage. So this lap, he's past James Abella. He's past Lee Burgess. He's about to pass Ben Porter, who's also past Lee Burgess. And he'll do it at turn 1 by the looks of it. So Mostert storming his way through the field. He's third. You get the feeling second is only a matter of time. And once again, the RS Focus races its way to the front of the field. Looking to the back of car number 29. Headed up by Rob Woods, who made his debut in the Porsche GT3 Cup last weekend at a very soggy Sandown. This is his first visit to Mount Panorama as well, racing with Devarshan Padiachi and also Ben Porter, who's behind the wheel at the moment.
Just showing at the moment that Ian Sheeran is in fact, no, he's just gained the lap back.
He's 10th. They're in the top 10.
My goodness me.
They're in the top 10. They're 50 seconds from the leader.
And you know they've got the speed.
Extraordinary.
Especially when it's quick going up and down the mountain, so it should theoretically be somewhat easy to pass these cars.
And a whole bunch of cars actually have just punched out their fastest lap of the race. Garth Walden last time round did a 28.27 on lap 75. Chaz Mostert did a 27.2 on lap 75, so he's flying. And Kieran Pilkington actually did their car's best lap last time round. It was a 34.9, so they don't have the outright pace. This is hairy. What's Mostert going to do? Just sits in behind the AMG at the moment in the battle for second place. So the pace is now hot. Now they've got some green flag running. And quick lap time. So Garth Walden just trying to build this margin. And 14.7 seconds, tell you what, probably the biggest leading margin in the race so far. There goes Mostert through. He'll grab second place. Hot hatch from Ford v hot hatch from Mercedes AMG. Let's see who's quickest in a straight line. Ben Porter won't give this up too easy, and that AMG has got some grunt. We heard Nathan Morecambe talking before that they just don't have the top end they like, and there's a definitive example. So if that's the final lap of the motor race, if that's the fight for the victory, you'd probably give it to AMG. Or you'd give it to Chaz Mostert because he bombs it down the inside and grabs the spot. You'd probably fight a bit harder if it was the final lap if you're in the mood, but...
What a major dive bomb move.
That's textbook for Chaz Mostert.
Look out though, Porter's going to reel him back in again, but that car, that Focus, very strong under brakes, will hold that position for now. Will slot himself into second. I tell you what, he might even have to play the defensive card here in just a moment by the time they get back up to Griffin's Bend, because again, that Mercedes is probably going to have the legs. In fact, he might even get the job done a little sooner, but the Focus, good under brakes. But now the challenge is going to be as to whether or not Mostert will drive this car and make this Focus as wide as it can possibly be as they head up Mountain Straight.
How good is this stuff? If you're Ford, you're mad not to be involved in this, because how good is this an ad for the Ford Focus RS? Because it's knocking off a Mercedes AMG that's a little bit more expensive than it, and it's way up the order from a BMW M4 that's a lot more expensive than it, and it's not far off the lead of the motor race. The car companies will come to this style of racing, I'm sure of it. With this race as the centrepiece for the revamped Australian Production Car Series. What a good ad for the Ford Focus RS. How good's this thing? Rosie?
Well, it was looking like the debut of the M4 wasn't going to go well. Everything's turned around now, back inside the top 10. Things are looking good.
Yeah, we're back in the top 10 now and we're back on the lead lap, so quite happy with that. Everything's going, cross fingers, going well for us at the moment, so keep plugging away and see where we end up.
What were those early issues and how were they resolved?
Oh, look, we had a hose pop off, so we came in and we fixed that hose, and yeah, that's all it was. Just took a little bit of a while to fix, but you know, we've got back out there and just plugged away and see what happens.
Well, if he's playing poker, he's not giving too much away about his hand there. Grant Sharon will bring that car home. When is the question of time? I think Brian Van Der Wacker might be able to tell more of that. I've just had some interesting text messages come through, and the number of people watching this race is quite amazing. But g'day to Renato Liberto, who's a guru race car driver associated with Italian brands, and I'm not sure what he could bring out to race in this race next year, but he was actually asking the question, any chance of rain? And I know why he'd asked that, because with the way the sun is, looking at some of these clouds, it does look a little bit dark, but I can tell you there's nothing on the radar. There is 0% chance of rain occurring in this motor race.
Just need someone to go out there and put the hose out. That'd change things up. 15.7 seconds from first back to second. The Orban brothers here on screen, in fact, they've had a bit of a disappointing day as well, unfortunately for them. Their first stop was about 18 minutes long, so the actual steering wheel actually came off, believe it or not. Speaking of weird parts and weird things that go wrong in the race, so they actually had a steering wheel come off their race car, and then they also had a fuel leak at the same time, so unfortunately not the day that they've been hoping for.
And that's something that you don't want to have happen coming down Conrod Straight, unless of course you've got a pair of vice grips in the car. You can just grab around the thing and steer with.
That's happened here in the past.
I know it has.
I'm sure.
Yes.
What we're watching at the moment is a very interesting battle between AMG Mercedes and BMW, who Luke Searle dives to the inside of Ben Porter. Now Ben's due a stop because their stint length is agonisingly close to 3 hours, we're being told. So they might need to get themselves in the lane fairly soon. We'll get Brian to crunch the numbers on that one. I've thrown my stats away. It's just impossible to keep up. Brian's got it covered. So Luke Searle, this is for track position. It's for 3rd and 4th place. Mostert up the road. He's got the gap to the leader down to 13.1 seconds. But Garth Walden's got busy and he's caught Beric Linton and trying to put that BMW down a lap. And you might think, why is he trying to do that? Well, if I was leading this race, the less cars on the lead lap, the better for me, because there's still so many of them in contention for this motor race. The more that aren't, the better for your hopes towards the end of the motor race. And here these two go again, side by side. No wonder they're watching closely. Their car's getting attacked. And Luke Searle, well, Paul Morris said in pit lane that he thought he was the right guy to bring the car home. So far, so good.
Last time round at the control line, 0.2 of a second they were apart.
You've got to be careful that you're at this point of the racetrack. Look at how much room they're using. Porter was all the way up to the grate then, and then some, as they'll come up to the top at McPhillamy Park again.
Well, Ben knows how to get the most out of these cars. He's part of a group of a lot of Australian racing car drivers who do driver training for Mercedes and AMG in Australia under the leadership of Peter Hackett. So he knows how to get the most out of an AMG A45. He's certainly doing that. That car is moving around considerably under pressure from the BMW, but
look at this. Lights ablaze, both of them.
Still an hour and 31 to go, mind you. Just throw that out there.
I think the AMG is going to stretch its legs just a little bit here down Conrod Straight.
Ian Sherrin, by the way, is now 9th. And last time round was the second fastest car on the... No, yes, second fastest car on the racetrack behind Chaz Mostert. So he's 41 seconds from the lead. So 5 laps ago, he was 50 seconds from the lead.
He can do it.
He's still an hour and a half to go. It's not like he's just unlapped himself within the final 15 minutes and then it's a massive drama to try and get yourself or get a lucky safety car, which is what they needed last year, ironically, to win, because they were on the back of the lead lap. Here we go, great run out of the final corner, a little bit of hip and shoulder this time, and Luke Searle finally looks like he's going to clear Ben Porter in the AMG. The Merc's got better top end, but Searle's got the right driving line into Hell Corner and finally wrestles P3 away after a war that's lasted 3 laps.
That's been going on for a long, long time, this one, as we got a shot of the Brian Walden machine. In fact, interestingly enough, what sources tell me, it's actually going to be Brian Walden's last endurance event.
Oh, really?
This weekend, yes.
Hanging up the helmet.
We're going to take a quick break here at Mount Panorama for the Hi-Tec Oils. Bathurst 6 Hour will return shortly.
Welcome back to Mount Panorama and the Hi-Tec Oils Bathurst 6 Hour, and to drama for one of the Class D favourites, the Petters Racing Toyota 86. Grant Phillips behind the wheel, American co-driver Michelle Abate in pit lane. There's been contact at the top of the mountain, and this car limping back to pit lane in real dramas. Let's have a look at what happened. So following some B-class cars down through the top of the mountain, this is where the Toyota is actually quicker than these cars. The car goes through, putting a lap down. That's the number 1 Ford Focus. Oh, and there's contact with car 1. And it pushed the Toyota into the fence. and bit of contact with the number one Ford Focus, and that's a big drama, and that will end the hopes of this car to contend for victory in the race. 10 seconds, no. Smoke from the BMW.
Let's just hope that's a tyre.
All that hard work, and it is. It's a right front. You can see it off the rim. The problem is, it's happened at the start of the lap. They've got to limp their way back around for, well, 5.5 Ks now. So they've got a bit of time to spare, but it's going to cost them a lap. It'll drop them back off the lead lap of the race. But as we said, they've still got an hour and 28, so I blankly refuse to rule them out, because no.
Just because no.
No.
It's un-Australian, Richard Crowe.
No, you cannot do it on a race like this, the way this race has played out so far. But, well, the up and down stories of this race continue, and the Sherrans have got dramas.
We've got another car that's also smoking as well as it's making its way down the entrance to
Is this the Heath car?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
lane.
So they weren't leading their class. They're a little bit further down, actually. Mark Kane leading the way in the Jimmy Vernon car in Class D, though they have just completed a pit stop.
You can see on screen here car 17. 17C, that's the local entry of the Auburn brothers, Blake and Kyle. They've had a terrible day today.
Well, when your steering wheel falls off, Benny, it's generally not great. And the fact they could keep it out of the fence with that occurring is I mark that down as a win. You know, I reckon you'd go home from a day at Mount Panorama and go, well, my steering wheel fell off and kept it out of the wall and finished. Yeah, okay, solid.
If the Sharon Rentals BMW, well, I mean, they're obviously going to have to pit right now. It's going to be literally right on the bubble, I reckon, to get them home. It's going to be right on the cusp.
Well, they need caution.
Yep.
Crew are down here pushing car 52
So
in
that's
Class D up the pit lane.
So we didn't see, they dropped down the order quite significantly, didn't they?
Because they made that second pit
yes,
stop.
Correct. Yep. So by my maths, Chris Reeves, who currently leads Class D, so they've got 2 stops completed, so 1 more compulsory stop to go.
That's exactly what he told me at the start of the day. We're not going to buy the safety cars.
So they're going to do it on 3 stops. Again, that's how they won it last year. They did it on 3. Their rivals did it on 4. Garth Walton, the leading margin down to 6.3 seconds, so Chaz Mostert has taken 4 seconds out of that race lead. Luke Searle still sits in 3rd place. He's 12 seconds behind Mostert. Ben Porter, having been savagely attacked by a BMW for 4 laps and fending it off, sits in 4th place, and Mark Eddy remains P5 in the Audi TTRS, with Lee Burgess in 6th in the DPO BMW. James Abella still 7th in Subaru. Andrew Richmond 8th in that car. So the Andrew Richmond Carl Reimler car, they're still in this. They're a minute off the lead, but they're still on the lead lap with Carl Reimler to plug in, because Andrew's done a very studious job through the middle of this race. You'd think Carl will jump in at the end and bring that car home. So they're certainly not out of contention yet. This is in, absolutely bang on your numbers, Brian, comes car 45. So the leader's in pit lane for what we believe will be their last pit stop. They might be good to go right to the very end. 3.1 was the margin, so that puts Chaz Mostert on point once again in car number 1. And it becomes the 15th lead change of this race. A lot of them strategy induced, but it's a lead change nonetheless. So they'll fill that car up, and they'll want to get it as full as they possibly can. But Craig's good to go with driving confidence here.
Certainly, all good to go. And now car 11, they were also getting to a window as well, so Jack Perkins will jump into that car now too.
So let's bring you up to date with where the classes stand in this race. We know A1, we know A2. Invitational class is Bradley Zaka, continues to lead the way. They're 22nd outright in their AU Falcon saloon car. Rick Shaw still on point in Class C in the Mazda RX-8, and they're 12th outright. And Class D, Chris Reeves in car 3, as we mentioned, still with 1 stop to go, which they can take their own time for, be leading Class D. Sorry, I just got distracted because there was a Sharon BMW coming into pit lane again.
So there was. Whether or not that was a scheduled pit stop or an unscheduled pit stop, we'll be finding out very shortly, no doubt.
Well, I don't know if that makes it more or less interesting if they're going to be in the mix to win it or not, because it was certainly going to be interesting, but with the raw speed of that car, it was almost a case of how quickly would they get to the front. But
Certainly.
clearly there's more dramas, and this is not a hurried what's going on kind of pit stop. Diving inside, so maybe electronics, looking at ECU units.
The Hollywood story we were hoping for is no longer, and it's not going to be for the 51 Daniel Flanagan Trevor Aloof car either. That car coming to a slow halt and might have possibly found the tyre barrier somewhere around the track.
It's Merrick Aloof behind the wheel, they're 39th.
Merrick, I mean, not Trevor.
Third in A2. So at least they'll get to pit lane. Last year in the race, everyone had dramas and got it back to the pits. This year, everyone's had dramas after the pits, and this might tell us as to why. So they're another victim of the elbow at the top of Mount Panorama.
Much better now to have the tyres in than just the concrete wall, which they used to have.
But damage just for a brief kiss with the wall. I wonder if there was more earlier than that as the Sherrans go into the garage. So after a brave fight back, it looks like the day might be over for the Sherran Rentals BMW, at least from any shot at contending for a victory. Because as the clock winds down, their shot of getting back towards the lead of this race continues to run out. Meanwhile, the battle for the lead. So this is a role reversal.
Yeah.
So Craig Baird now needs to stay on the lead lap because he's good to go to the end. The Ford Focus has got a stop to come, a stop of their own timing to get to the end of the motor race. And just in front of them was Beric Linton, who's in exactly the same position. But Baird would very much like to stay in front of Morecambe here because it'll just make their race a little bit easier towards the end to give them that track position they need and hold the charge of car number one, who to me is increasingly looking like the favourites for this race. I don't know if you agree with me, Brian, but the way this race has come to those guys, especially in the second half, and the pace that that car's got, Chaz behind the wheel and trying to pass in ridiculous places that normally only Shane Van Gisbergen in a McLaren tries to go by. It's got speed to burn.
They're looking good, aren't they? I mean, what's it going to be, though, is that it's going to be the transit time of 2 minutes and 30 seconds, basically. So that's going to be the margin that we'll have to look for once Chaz Mostert ultimately makes his final pit stop. He's good to go to the end. So, interesting portion of the race. Chaz Mostert, they last pitted that car 3 hours and 51. We're now at 4 hours and 44. Chaz will be in that car.
So they're going to run into the last hour of the race, aren't they?
Yeah. They can. They've got that flexibility, which means, I mean, if they didn't have to do a compulsory...
I mean, if it wasn't the compulsory pit stop, they'd be absolute favourites because it'd be a short stop, throw the driver in. Or is Chaz going to go to the end? Or is
Chaz should be able to go to the end.
But it'll be 2 minutes 30. They're trying to find a way past that AMG, and that Focus has got grunt low down. We've talked about that all day. Struggling in the top end. Heard Nathan Morecambe talking about that earlier in the race.
Let me work on numbers for a moment.
Do that.
Morecambe and Mostert, I'll get back to you.
So the race has just settled for a little bit, which is good because it gives us a breath and a chance to take an opportunity and just take stock of this field and where they're running. A little bit further back, there's the Andrew Richmond car with Carl Reindler still to come. Still on the lead lap. Policine is in the same boat in car number 7, the pole performance entry. So by my maths, there'll be, once all these stops worked out, there should still be 12 or 13 cars on the lead lap, I would have thought. Perkins could go to the end, can't he, in car 11, so he's good to go. He's currently 12. He's 2 minutes and 3 from the lead. So when Mostert pits, he's going to end up in front, assuming they stay the way they are relative to each other, because it's 2 minutes and 30 in pit lane.
There's Paul Morris on screen now, just taking in exactly what's happening at the moment.
So they're 9.8 seconds behind this car of Chaz Mostert. So if we go green towards the end of the race with the one stop still to go, they're all going to cycle in behind car 45, who's looking in pretty good shape at the moment. But of course, that's assuming it stays green all the way to the end of the motor race. I just wanted to give a shout out to one car. We've seen a little bit of them on screen. They're currently 41st outright. Daniel Sutton behind the wheel. It's the Toyota Camry. Daniel Williams and Kurt Metcalf sharing the drive with them. They just pounded around all day. Not the fastest car on the racetrack, not the fastest car in their class, but they're 41st outright. They continue to lap, and they're looking to get to the end of the motor race. And that will be an achievement in a car that looks like it's come from the car park of Central Bathurst shopping mall.
Not bad, is it?
So there's just over an hour to go. The Hi-Tech Oils Bathurst 6 Hour. A rush of safety cars at the start. A lot of caution. 28 laps under yellow today. And 10 safety car periods. But we've had a good green flag run, and in comes car number 1. Blazing through the pit entry.
Safety car.
There is 2. So safety car.
Oh, you are joking.
So they've timed that well.
Now, what could that possibly be?
That could be the most decisive moment of the motor race. And in comes car 62 as well. So Luke Searle brings his car into the lane. And there's a HSV with smoke everywhere getting the green light, but he can see it through the smoke plume. Oh, wow, he's got big dramas. Ben Porter's in the lane too. He was 3rd. So Baird will stay out, and this will help them for fuel economy as well, because they were going to be right on the edge with an hour and a half stint. But this will be good for them. So they'll pick up car 45. And as we predicted, we've got a motor race for the final hour. The A2 leader stopped on Mountain Straight was the reason for this safety car. Bit of angst down there.
Yeah.
Something
Did
about
you see
get off the brake pedal. Oh, wow.
You know why? Because it's properly burning.
I think they've had, it might have seized it too. When you get that heat soak through and the expansion of the brake rotors, it runs so hot. And there is the Searle car.
They look a little bit more relaxed than what's happening back down the lane.
So it was car 4 that stopped. Jamie Hodgson has stopped on Mountain Straight. And Mostert out of pit lane now. And 2 minutes 36 in the lane. Where do they pull out in relation to Craig Baird?
This is also on top of the circuit too.
So Baird's yet to cross the control line and pick up the safety car. So Mostert, they got out in front. Rosie.
I'm with Bob Riley, team manager for car number 1. There's a lot of smoke there. Was that a scheduled pit stop?
Yes, it was a scheduled pit stop. Just fuel and tyres to the end, but one of the little brake ducts just ignited due to the heat. So the boys just hit it with a fire extinguisher and right to go.
Where there's smoke, there's normally fire, and there was a lot of smoke there.
Yeah, there was a lot of smoke, but the plastic does create a lot of smoke. So it's fine. Everything's good.
So does the car and Chaz have what it takes to win this race?
Certainly, both do. Yes, certainly.
And what are the instructions now for him to bring it home?
Well, that'll depend on what happens with the other competitors, but we'll just drive it as hard as we can to make sure we win.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Well, the KG Bob Riley, he's not saying much there, but I think he feels reasonably confident about where this car is at. We'll find out. We're going to take a break, come back with more action for the Hi-Tech Oils Bathurst 6 Hour right after this. Welcome back to Bathurst. Our coverage of the Hi-Tech Oils Bathurst 6 Hour continues. We're on a race restart now. The race is being led by Mark Eddy. The Audi TTRS is sharing with Tony Alford. They've still got a pit stop to come, but they are the race leaders at the moment. Fast cars working their way through the field. Dramas for an Evo. The pole performance cars just locked the rear brakes going into turn 1. That's a big moment in front of a still very large pack. It looks like car 6 will be able to go again. But there's the leaders, a stop to come, but what a drive from the TT so far.
Hopefully they can get that car turned around once this enormous field is passed and we go green right to the end and let this race play out. There's 8 tenths between Chaz Mostert and Luke Searle, and we'll pick them up as they come through this field on the run up to Griffin's Bend. There they are, the leaders in shot now. Red bonnet on the Ford Focus on the right of screen, working his way past the CXC car. There's the car in second place. This is the fight for what will be the race victory, and just in behind was the A45 AMG. So the top 4 cars in the motor race covered by about 3 seconds.
remarkable, isn't it? As there down the inside goes Devson Paniachi. Look at Mostert around the outside. And Searle, that's an important move. Look at that. He's just put 2 cars now between himself and Luke Searle. So, yep, it might have been a daring move, but it's going to be these little finite seconds towards the back end of this race that's going to prove very, very crucial.
The irony is these 4 cars at the pointy end have all been very evenly matched on raw speed. The fastest of the lot of them is probably the car that's going to end up in a net 5th place, which is Carl Reindler in the Andrew Richmond CXC Global Racing Evo Lancer. His fastest lap of the race is a 26.9. The cars in front of him, 28s and 27s. Mostert's done a 27.2. Eddie, the race leader, a 28.6, doesn't have that raw speed.
Mark Eddy's pushing on this lap at the moment. Personal best of the first sector and the second sector as well. So look for that 227.6 to be lowered this time by, as he'll be pounding down Conroy straight at the moment and not too far away from coming down into Hancock Tyres Murray's corner.
I'm sure Mark Eddy's teammate from last year, Francois Joy, will be watching on. They won their class in a Renault. They've raced a lot together, those two, in the production car ranks over the years. And in pit lane comes the race leader. So Mark Eddy, after one of his better drives that I've witnessed in his career, he's succeeded in motor racing, has Mark. He pulls the Network Clothing Audi into the lane from the lead, which is now inherited by Chaz Mostert. And it'll be Tony Alford who jumps in the TTRS for the run to the flag. What a superb performance by these guys today.
One of the drives today, you've got to say, for Mark Eddy, a tremendous stint. Speaking of drives of the day, this wouldn't be too far either for Carl Reindler.
I mean, they're still gone from 59th to 5th, but wouldn't they love just 1 or 2 more spots and spray some champagne on that Mathis podium?
It's funny, I was talking to a couple of people.
No, he doesn't. Reindler up the inside at the cutting. That's enormous, and he gets through. There's a big slide on the exit. There might have been some paint exchange, but Reindler goes past Craig Baird, and is that a redress? Yes, it is. Lets Baird past. So they swap positions over and under again, and it's broken. Reindler's car's got damage, so he collected the Merc as he went through, and the Mitsubishi's got damage, and he'll have to limp it back to pit lane. He's got a tyre down. And this is the thing, because the Merc's got good straight line, Carl has to take a risk to pass him in a slow corner where the Evo's stronger, so he dove up the inside of the cutting. Craig saw him coming, gave him room, and we don't know what happened mid-corner, but yeah, there was fisticuffs. There was contact. The mirror on the left-hand side of the Merc's pointing in the wrong way. So no doubt they touched there. Craig gave him racing room. A pass there is a big thing to do, put it that way. 33 minutes to go in the Hi-Tech Oils Bathurst 6 Hour. We saw them throw new Hankook tyres at the DPO Ford at their last pit stop. So rubber's not a concern. Reindler's in pit lane. He'll need new rubber on that car. And we'll try and get out on the lead lap and at least get that car to the finish after an amazing fight back today. But we have got a motor race on. It's between Chaz Mostert, the defending champion of this race, and Luke Searle, a guy who's been racing for a long time through the Super Touring days. Hugely talented racing car driver, but looking for the biggest win in his career with a teammate who's won the 1000 and who's won the 12 Hour, and looking for a 6 Hour win to add to his remarkable CV. Nothing between BMW and Ford at the pointy end of the race. And another Bathurst Enduro comes down to the final stanza. This is for the lead of the race. Couldn't stop that car any harder. Chaz Mostert is driving the wheels off this Ford, but at the moment it looks like the BMW is faster. 31 to go.
Just using that back marker car to his advantage there. He was waving them through, but that's given just a little bit more of a gap to Chaz Mostert as they go back up the mountain again.
Wow, huge explosion on pit straight under the Hi-Tech Oils bridge. It'll definitely be a safety car. It's Craig Baird. An enormous fire. The car's exploded. Baird's got to get out of there. That's a very, very big detonation. There's still flames licking at that car. Craig's out. He's okay.
My goodness, that is huge.
Massive detonation. I think he's been off the road. I think it had exploded running down into Hankook Tyres corner, and we'll have a safety car with 20 minutes to go.
Yep, safety car.
But that was an enormous fire. Craig's out, he's all right. The car just pulled off to the side of the road. But there was smoke down by the tyre bundles down at Hancock Turn at Murray's, and I think that car was off in the gravel trap before it ended up there. But it was an enormous plume of smoke out the back of the AMG. We'll show you that now. So down into Hancock Turn, watch the silver car under brakes, following the bit, no, top of the screen. Now, huge detonation, so the car doesn't stop, so it's launched an engine. It gets the thing turned in. No, it didn't run off in the gravel trap, it was just the smoke plume managed to end up there. I mean, that's like a smoke screen from one of the old Batman movies, isn't it? That's extraordinary. And then watch the flame. When he gets the car stopped, and great presence of mind from Berto to get the car pulled driver's right out of harm's way, because if you're behind that, you have no idea what's in front of you. And then a huge plume of smoke, and they've got that car out, the fire stopped.
The Fireys did a great job to get on that as quickly as they possibly could as well, and it's probably a good spot to actually pull that car up because it's right underneath the flag marshal's point there on the main straight. But dear oh dear, that's probably up there with one of the biggest fires, unfortunately, we've seen up here at Mount Panorama.
Rosie.
Garth Walden, that was a horrible incident there. Is he okay?
Yeah, mate. The main thing is Craig's out and he's okay. I saw him jump out of the car, so just disappointing, mate, for everyone involved, the whole team, and Craig was doing a great job. I feel sorry for Ron watching him back at home, but it is what it is.
Do you know what happened?
No, it looks like an engine failure by the look of it. There's a lot of smoke and a bit of fire at the end, so I'm not quite sure. The car has been running great all afternoon. We had a few little issues this morning, in the start of the race, and the car was quite good this afternoon. And yeah, we're just hoping to bring it home.
Well, that's motorsport. I'm sure he'll be back to fight another race, so let's hope he's okay when he comes in.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
What a motor race. What a day. Under the Hitachi Bridge. Ford Focus RS versus BMW M135. Don't worry about the lap cars. It's just these two now. They've got Bathurst to themselves to fight it out for the Hi-Tec Oils Bathurst 6 Hour. It's a brilliant restart from Luke Searle. Mostert has to defend straight away. Move to the middle of the road. They'll turn into turn one. Trying to feel the tyre pressure in the Hancooks. Searle using all of the road at Hell Corner. And up the hill they go. That's the DPO squad watching on. Mostert on the inside of the racetrack. He's got a BMW in his tow. Luke needs to be smart about this. You've got time and you've got clear racetrack. And you know you're better down Conrod. Griffin's Bend. Let's see what Mostert does across the top. Nothing short of spectacular across there today. The liberties he's taking with lap cars paid off before. It got him margin. It won't help him now. We know the Focus is better across there, but we know the BMW coming down the hill will be stronger.
Searle was using all the exit road then coming out of the cutting, and he used it as well coming out of Griffin's Bend. You can see though, this is where Chaz Mostert is going to make up his time. You watch him going over at the top into McPhillip. It's going to be sideways. You betcha, there it is. He tips it in, the left-hander. He'll use a bit of exit ripple strip here, and that margin is now starting to expand, as you would expect, as they come down the hill once again.
The worst cutaway in history. The teams hate that. They absolutely hate it. We love it. Entertaining for us. Oh, gee, Luke just got the thing stopped into the dipper there. It looked like he understeered a bit. Mostert pulling away, Brian.
He's not going to be close enough, is he? By the time they get down to the chase, the Focus is too good going across the top of Mount Panorama.
It's just that commitment he's got across there. The way that car is hooked up. Out of the elbow they go. Let's watch down Conrod. The BMW is a couple of k's an hour quicker in a straight line, but Mostert may have just broken the back of this race by being the most committed he's ever been across the top of the mountain. There's 8 minutes and 45 seconds to go. And the defending champions have found themselves back in front from one of the teams that have supported production car racing for a very long time, the Rochelle Express crew out of Newcastle. They're P2. Mostert with a little bit of breathing room. The official margin as they cross the line is 1.2 seconds. and it's a 2:25.9 for Chaz Mostert. It's his fastest lap of the motor race on the restart. That is an extraordinary lap time to a 2:26.9 for Luke Searle. So Mostert punches out his car's fastest lap, the lap after a restart on cold Hankook tyres. That is amazing.
Shot of Nathan Walker was like, get out of here, Chaz. That's nuts. That is absolutely incredible. But that's what he needs to do at the moment to hold this race. And you can see already that margin from what it was a lap ago has certainly extended. And Mostert now is starting to put his ascendancy on this race with only, well, 7.5 minutes to go.
I tell you what, Ryan Simpson's catching Devarshan Padiachi as well. So the number 7 Mitsubishi's hauling in the number 29 Merc for the final spot on the podium. So that might yet be up for grabs yet. Not that this leading battle's done with either. And they will get traffic. You can almost bank on it. The leaders just crossed the start-finish line now, and these guys are up at the John Hinksman Vista. So it'll be a lap or two, but they're going to get there before the end of the race.
Just to throw another curveball into it, it's going to be intense. And it's going to be ebbing and flowing like you could not believe. If anything, Chaz needs to build that margin now, because by the time they do hit lap traffic, then that might just evaporate, and that's where, again, he'll need to be forceful.
I can't believe that lap from Chaz. You don't often see in endurance races the fastest lap set right at the very end, especially in production car endurance racing. But that's what he's done. What a testament to this crew. The DPO squad, we heard from Bob Riley early on. Nigel Bolling, who's built more than his fair share of production cars over the years. And Barry Morecambe and the team have put together a really strong program. This is the longest this car's ever run. It did a shakedown at Wakefield Park before this weekend, and that's about it. It is a brand new race car, and it had dramas yesterday. They qualified 16th, and with turbo boost issues, they had no boost in quali. It did a 30.0, and they were 16th and a long way down the order. Bear in mind, they won this race from 11th last year, so at the moment we're on for this race being won from outside the top 10 on 2 occasions. No one's won the 12 hour from outside the top 10.
It's a cool stat itself, isn't it? Headlights ablaze as we're getting later in the day at Mount Panorama on this Easter Sunday.
Well, this should be the fight for third place. The BMW goes through on Ryan Simpson, but Ryan was closing in on Devarshan Padiachi here. Chaz Mostert, 2:25.82, fastest lap of the motor race for him, but going with him is Luke Searle. Does a 25.85. Luke Searle has just gone faster than he qualified, and he qualified second. This is some kind of drive from Luke. He is driving his heart out, and he's kept the gap at 1.3 seconds. This is still very much anyone's motor race. And they're at lap record pace, literally lap record pace at the front of the field. Mostert sets the fastest lap of the day on lap 110. And Searle goes with him punch for punch. And the little BMW has not given up yet. And there's a feel-good story to either one of these cars to win this motor race. But what a display of motor racing at Mount Panorama.
Just got a feeling here that Luke Searle's just pulled a little bit back on Chaz Mostert over the top there.
I feel I'm in agreement with you, absolutely.
To the first sector, Chaz Mostert, 1 minute, 0.2 exact, and then just behind him, you had Searle, 59.7. To the first sector alone, Searle was half a second quicker.
This is a great motor race. The water car race. Chaz has got that thing as hooked up as I've ever seen a race car at this place. Lap record on lap 110. The fastest laps for both these cars on lap 110. They're punching out qualifying numbers. It's incredible at the end of a 6-hour production car race.
I'll tell you what, if Searle can do this for another lap or two, this sort of pace, he's going to be close enough to have a lunge at Chaz Mostert. Look at it now. This might just be the moment. Mostert, the car seems to be slowing down the inside. Here comes Searle, a change for the lead with 4 minutes left in the great race of the Hi-Tec Oils Bathurst 6-hour. Luke Searle is your new race leader.
Mostert's not done with yet. Good run out of the chase. Searle will have to defend into Hankook corner. Chaz will send it left and then right. Right on the edge of braking, the brake disc's glowing. A change of the lead with 4 minutes to go. The BMW is in front, and we're running out of laps. What next? What's Chaz got left? There's got to be something more for car one. Surely that's not it. From everything we've seen from them today, from passing lap cars on the grass at the metal grate, he will have another go. If he can get a good run across the top, he will have another go.
Forest elbow might just have to be the moment for him as they turn it back into Griffin's Bend once again. Not too much time left in this race. How much has Chaz Mostert got left in this car to have a lunge at Luke Searle? I tell you what, he pushed hard at the restart to get a margin across the top. He's going to have to push even harder this time by.
Luke Searle has driven the race of his life, and he's about 3 minutes away from a race win at Bathurst. Right, Mostert, this is where that car's better. What's he got? On the lap record pace at the end of the Hi-Tec Oils Bathurst 6 hour. And an extraordinary day on the mountain. He's reeled him in a little bit. He's reeled him in a little bit more. But will he be close enough to have a go at the elbow? That's the only place I can think of. He's just going to have to send it down the inside and then hope that he can hold on down Conrod Straight. But I don't know if he's got enough.
The only benefit now, if anything, is he's going to have a little bit of a slipstream coming down Conrod Straight, so it might just help the top end speed ever so slightly for Chaz Mostert. He's certainly not close enough at the moment, and time is running out. Chaz Mostert has led this race for the second half pretty well much, but with 4 minutes left to go, unfortunately, it's not within the ballpark for them right now.
I'm wondering if something's happened to that car. It's just seemed to be losing speed as it goes down Mountain Straight. Obviously, the Beamer is quicker. But don't forget, gentlemen, the race for third place is still on as well.
Yeah, it is, and Ryan Simpson's 1.9 behind Devarshan Padiachi. The BMW pulls away. The Focus is limping. What's going on? They've got to limp this car home. There's not too long to go. It should be the second time after the control line, after 5:58 local, which we're at now. So there's a minute on the clock.
There's Paul Morris. He's going to make the treble. It looks like they're going to make the treble.
The gap has extended. Mostert across the line. It's 5 seconds. He's got to bring it home now.
Mostert was near 60 kilometres per hour slower going down Conrod Straight that time by, so something is certainly not right at the moment with this number one car after 6 hours of racing just about. With checkered flag just about in sight, Chaz Mostert is limping this car home.
This is the last lap of the Hi-Tec Oils Bathurst 6 hour. Paul Morris on the verge of history. Mostert limping home. 2:31.3 last time round.
Dare I say this is maybe a fuel conservation issue?
Maybe they are out of fuel. That's a good point, Benny. Hadn't thought of that.
And if so, on the last lap of another endurance race here at Mount Panorama.
Or it could be a result of punching out a lap record on the 110th lap of what's going to be a 113 lap motor race. Last lap of the Hi-Tec Oils Bathurst 6 hour, and it's been amazing. And this little team, the Rochelle Express team, they've been racing BMWs for as long as I've been watching car racing. Back in the Super Touring days, Luke Searle would never qualify on a Saturday and would rock up on Sunday and start from the back of the field as a young guy and race his way to the front of the Independence Cup in that category. They've moved to production cars and they've raced sporadically, but nothing like this has come their way. And Paul Morris won the Super Cheap Auto Bathurst 1000 when we thought it would never be a thing, with Chaz Mostert in 14. He's won the 12 hour, and he's about to add a Hi-Tec Oils Bathurst 6 hour and be the first ever to sweep the major endurance races at Mount Panorama. The BMW heads down Conrod. There's the Focus. And it's been an amazing day. And this is third place. That's for the final spot on the podium. Ryan Simpson throwing everything he can at the AMG. But the leader will be soon to the checkered flag for Luke Searle and Paul Morris and the Rochelle Express team. An unlikely result, but what a welcome winner. Luke Searle and Paul Morris win the Hi-Tec Oils Bathurst 6 hour with a pass for the lead in the final 5 minutes. And that man has won the Bathurst Triple. And that is a great motor race.
What an effort, what an effort. Paul Morris, there he is on screen. Just loving every minute of this one. I tell you what, there's probably a fair bit of emotion attached to that one as well, because for him, this is a remarkable victory. Its place has bitten him for year after years, and now all of a sudden he's got a couple of Bathurst wins to his name.
An incredible drive. The Antunis Salmon Mercedes-Benz makes it home. There's the James Abella Cameron Hill Subaru that makes it to the finish just inside the top 10. A little Alpha got home as well, which is great to see. They preserved along all day. There's Brian Walden. Looks like if the rumours are true, he'll hang up the helmet after today. He'll do it with a class victory. The mighty Commodore makes it home. That's a great result. There's the Rob Rubis Todd Hazelwood car, Class C winners in this race. Outstanding performance from them. Those little BMWs, they've been around a little while, but man, do they just keep going and going. Let's go down to pit lane. Here's Rollsies talking to the winner, Paul Morris.
Paul, you look ecstatic. Congratulations, 6-hour winner with Luke Searle. How are you feeling?
Just stoked for Luke, really. He's one of Australia's best drivers, but he's one of those guys that slip through the net, you know. He never quite got a professional drive, but man, did he wheel that car today. And we spoke before. You asked me, is he the right guy to have it in the car at the end of the day? And you just saw he was, for sure.
And you've just further etched your name in motorsport history, especially Bathurst history. That is the Bathurst Endurance three-peat.
Yeah, it's awesome. I can't believe it's good. So, and just, you know, great place to come and race, and great bunch of guys. Look, all volunteers here. And to be able to put a bunch of guys together and work together as a team. Everyone's got day jobs, and you come here and win a car race like this, it's pretty cool.
So let's recap the final results of the hi-tec Oils Bathurst 6-hour. It's the Searle and Morris BMW. Morecambe and Mostert defend their win with second place. Polisena and Simpson on the podium in controversial circumstances. Then the BMW, a couple of Mitsubishis, the Alfred Eddy TT, a lap behind in the end, but they led the race in the closing stages, which was an outstanding result. And the class fights all the way throughout. Searle and Morris, the A1 class, Barguana Lane and Simon's home in A2. And well done Perkins and Burgess, the B1 winners in that BMW that just finished a lap off the lead. Lots of happy class winners with the hi-tec Oils Bathurst 6-hour. It's time to go to that famous Bathurst podium. Here's Brian Vanderwacker to introduce our winners.
Let's get it underway with your third place outright and also in A1. How about it for car number 7, Jim Polisena and Ryan Simpson.
Congratulations. Thank you very much.
We'll move on as well to second outright in second in Class A1. How about it for Nathan Morecambe and Chaz Mostert? How about it though? Save the applause. Here we are for the outright winners of the 2017 hi-tec Oils Bathurst 6-hour, Luke Searle and Paul Morris. Luke, I'm going to grab you first, mate. What an unbelievable final stint there towards the end. That was incredible. Talk us through what was going through your mind.
I just had to get him. There was nothing going through my mind. He was in front of me and I wanted to pass him, but wow, he drove the wheels off it. And if he didn't have that small problem at the end, he would have won. So I can't thank Paul enough. I can't thank my father enough for buying me a car and paying for me to race. My father-in-law, Barry Graham, for setting up a brilliant car. My wife for letting me race. Thanks everybody for turning up. Awesome. And all my crew guys, thanks. Awesome.
Well, there's Luke Searle. He's a happy man, and so he should be. He's won an incredible motor race. That's all the time we've got, and that wraps up the hi-tec Oils Bathurst 6-hour for 2017. But don't worry, this race will be back on the Easter long weekend in 2018. We'll see you then.